I want to thank one of my friends from the theater for joining me today.
Hello.
For the first time I'm having one of my coworkers join me. This is Becca. Say hi, Becca.
Hello, Becca.
There you go.
I'm Becca. Yep. I work with Mike at Movies 10, but I am a lowly concessionist.
Yeah, it's not lowly.
It's pretty...
No, you got to start somewhere.
Nope.
No.
It's butter stains. It's great.
We are here to review The Devil Inside.
Yes.
Unofficially the first movie of this year. And I gotta say, I did not like this.
You're gonna hate me, but I liked it because it was so bad. It was enjoyable.
Okay, so you're going for the full 360, where you thought it was so bad that it turned around and became good again.
Yes, because while they were aiming for it just to be a good movie, you have to, I guess it was the atmosphere that I saw it in, because the atmosphere was a Saturday night opening weekend, packed house, all teenagers. It was just a ridiculous atmosphere, so it almost made the movie ridiculous in a way.
Okay.
So.
First, let's just run down what the premise is of this movie. You have this girl, Isabella, whose mother kills 3 people back in 1980. I forget when it was.
89,
like
yeah.
89, yeah. And apparently, she killed these 3 people during an exorcism.
Yes.
Now, they transfer her to Rome for psychological evaluation. They leave her there for some 20 years. And Isabella starts wondering if this is something genetic, like if this is something that's going to happen to her. Because she didn't think her mother was possessed originally. She just thought it was some sort of mental breakdown. So she gets a documentary crew with her, a filmmaker, and they decide to go to Rome, to Vatican City, to document everything. We proceed into her visiting her mother, and strange zippity-doo-dah happens. We don't really know what's going on.
She meets 2 priests.
Yeah.
They kind of give her a unheard of look before that the Catholic Church doesn't want you to know. They kind of are outside their limits there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their response is, well, if you're going to try and help your mother, the first thing you got to do is see an exorcism, because apparently by seeing one, you'll learn more from that than you will in any classroom. And we'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to give away too much more of the plot, but that's the premise of this movie. I liked what they were trying to do, because recently there's been a spree of exorcist films.
Really? Because this is actually the first exorcism movie I've ever seen.
Really?
So, yes.
Okay, so you didn't see The Last Exorcism?
No, I've never seen any.
Okay. Going in, I thought this was essentially a sequel to that movie. I know it wasn't, but that's what it looked like. The Last Exorcism was essentially almost the exact same story.
Okay.
But The Last Exorcism was much more a character study of people who do exorcise demons, like the Exorcist himself. You also had recently The Rite with Anthony Hopkins.
Which I respect all of his work, so...
Yeah,
even though I haven't seen that one. So.
I was not a huge fan of that movie. But you had a few more before that, but it just seems like Hollywood's been on an exorcist tear recently. I liked the premise of this one of how it could be both psychological or mental, or maybe it's just a massive demon in your body. You really don't know. But here are some of the main gripes I have about the movie.
Okay.
First and foremost, the acting was terrible.
Yes.
It was wooden everywhere.
It was very subpar, especially towards the end. The beginning was fine for me, but as a theater major for 7 years, I'm going to say I probably could have done much better than that.
Yeah, I would thoroughly agree.
Yes.
The movie didn't know who it wanted to follow. From what we saw in the trailers, from what we saw basically early on in this movie, we were told this is going to be about a mother and her daughter.
Yes.
We got that for about the first hour. But then after the first hour, it starts shifting its premise towards mostly the daughter and towards these priests and all the backstories of these people.
Yeah.
And we get an entirely different movie. You don't know who you're supposed to follow anymore. Because the side characters are now main characters, the main characters are now side characters, and so much is going on at one point that you really don't know who you are supposed to follow.
And kind of to come off that, I pretty much can guarantee you that the writer of this movie didn't really outline what he was going to do. He just started writing and kept writing, and he didn't really think about where he was going until he had to end it, and that was it.
Obviously he didn't know how to end it.
Yes.
I was about to bring that up. The ending to this film left a lot of people upset. Now, I've seen endings like this before. I can get over it, but it was a bad ending. And essentially, it was the writers writing themselves into a corner.
Yes.
They did not know what to do with it, and they just said, okay, here's what we're going to give you. Do you have any points that you want to bring up?
Well, yes. Kind of to go back to the acting, I don't understand how the director could have allowed some actors to say lines the way they did, because honestly, the way that they said them, they were trying to come off scary or serious, but they honestly just came off comedic.
Yeah.
I don't
Completely.
really understand how that could have happened.
I would thoroughly agree with that, and that just speaks of bad direction.
Yes.
Simple as that. And one other thing I want to bring up. There was one scene towards the middle end of this movie that had a lot of really good tension in it. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not going to ruin it.
Oh, yes.
There's a ceremony that occurs in a church. We're not going to say what. Shortly afterwards, we see a pretty disturbing scene, and that was done very, very well. I did like that scene. However,
I liked the church following that scene.
Yeah,
They were
but
both good.
about the church scene, with what the priest did, why would they just let him walk out of the church?
See, the thing with that is, I don't know if this movie was. It might have been an exorcism movie, but it also was, let's just make fun of Italian policemen because obviously they cannot do anything right.
Oh, apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire movie, Italian police are inept. They have no
They
idea
can't
what's
do
going
anything.
on. They're like throwing their guns in the air. You don't know what they're doing.
Oh,
It's
God.
it's pretty pathetic at times.
Yeah.
All that being said, I just want to say I've seen this several times before.
Mhm.
This brings nothing new to the Exorcist genre. I know you've said this is your first Exorcist movie.
Yeah.
To which I would say to you, I want to show you The Exorcist. This is a bad example for me of how to do an exorcism movie.
I'm going to say that the scariest part was when a dog barked.
You know what? I completely agree.
Thank
For
you.
the first hour of this movie, not one thing horrific happened until a dog jumps out and barks at you.
Yep.
And that speaks volumes of how these people do not know how to shoot horror.
Yep.
Apart from that, I really have nothing else to say about this movie.
I'm just going to say the main character of The Devil Inside, she was really pretty and her hair it shined. God, her makeup was flawless. I need to see who makeup artist did that movie.
We're not going to branch into that type of review.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and give my final rating. But you know what? Let's give yours first. What would you give this?
Okay, for entertainment-wise, I would give it a 3. For
All right.
actual movie amazingness, God, I'm so articulate, I would give it a 2.
A 2.
Yes.
So you're saying for entertainment value, it's
Yeah.
pretty good,
It
but as
also
far
has-
as actual
yeah.
movie quality, it's pretty low.
You also have to depend on the atmosphere you're watching it in.
From my point of view, having seen this done well before, I expected a little more out of this movie. I'm not saying every Exorcist film from here on out is going to be bad just because it's always been done better. I'm not saying that. I just saw too many flaws, too much bad acting, too much bad direction for me to give this a pass. So I'm going to give this a 1.5 stars. I mean, if you are looking for something maybe with your friends to rent later on and just have a good time one night and have a toss a couple drinks back, this will probably be okay to watch. That's all I can say. I mean, disappointment. That's how I would describe it, just disappointment. I expected more.
Yep.
So, I want to thank Becca again for joining me.
No
We'll
problem.
set up for that next movie. I forget what it's called.
I don't even know.
I don't even know. Whatever it is with Channing Tatum and
Nick
Rachel
Gunn,
McAdams. Yeah. Have a good night, guys, and take care.